Do you know what's so funny? The whole discourse and the way that everybody is just so locked in. Oh my god, Leo Skepi is reading the Bible. What? Darling, I hate to break it to you. It's a book. It's a book. First and foremost, it's a book. And before we give meaning to that word, God is first and foremost a word. And now I've been approached by organised religion multiple times throughout my life. I was brought up atheist by parents in Poland, which, if you know, you know, it is one of the most religious countries still at large, in a way. I don't know why I'm sounding like this. I genuinely don't know why I sound like this. But I think that if Leo Skepi inspires people to read the Bible, what's going to happen is organised religion is actually going to come under so much scrutiny for how far away it's actually strayed from Jesus's teachings and, you know, what the Bible actually says. There's going to be more discourse around how the Bible is misused, you know, as a tool for abuse, for control, for perpetration. Because most of one of the biggest reasons why there's been so much systemic homophobia is because of one wrong translation of the Bible into the English language. I will find an article on this and I will link this down below very happily. I've learned about it during my English language and linguistics course. So yeah, so everybody's saying, oh, we pray at dawn, being like, oh, he's fighting demons and everything. The way religious language is now used as a way to allow people to stop thinking for themselves, to stop them from taking accountability for their own choices, for their own life, as a way to avoid acting on the values that they preach. Because, you see, the thing about any church that has ever tried to recruit me is that they would always say, oh, come. If you're lost, if you're sad, if you're lonely, come to us and we will heal you and God will heal you. None of those people have a mental health first aid certificate. None of them even know how to do first aid. Most of them. You invite me into a book club. You're inviting me to a book club. And the thing with any clubs, I'm very sorry to say if that bursts someone's bubble, but there is always a price that you pay for an acceptance in a group setting, especially if you come from the outside, as an outsider, as a newcomer, as someone who is, you know, welcomed at first with the language that those people have rehearsed, but then they do not have the depth of understanding or self-reflection or perspective to actually make someone feel welcome beyond that initial point. So what happens is that person who is lost, they are lost for a reason. They are depressed for a reason. They are isolated for a reason. So they taste that approval of the group, right? And now that is incredibly addictive. That feels amazing. So then what happens is they will chase that feeling. And they will be convinced that this feeling is God. But once the group stops accepting them, once differences arise that none of those people know how to deal with, because the only thing that they know how to tell each other is go pray to God about it, instead of actually discussing those differences, instead of actually being vulnerable, instead of actually doing some self reflection of how your own head works. You talk to God, but God cannot tell you anything in a language that you yourself are not able to understand. So how are you updating your capacity for understanding if you do not talk to your fellow man? Not in that way. If you mostly talk to God, which happens through a set of signs, a set of words spoken in your head, how well are you able to then understand your fellow man? And so what happens to that person who then joins the church, they will try to win over the people who gave them the feeling of God. And that's where psychological abuse comes in. That's where financial abuse can creep in. Because, now to be accepted by the group, you must contribute. You must buy yourself that feeling of God. It's like paying for confession again. Not confession. It's what Martin Luther King talks about. It's the same thing all over again. It's just that the price that people are paying to fit into religious spaces is different. You pay with your individuality. You pay with your identity. So I don't think that Leo Skepi reading the Bible is the great revival of Christianity that many of those people in the comments seem to be talking about. He's not going to start preaching. He's not going to start preaching. He's going to start calling you out. He's going to start calling you out left and right, telling you exactly how you are misinterpreting everything. He is going to learn a thing or two, because every single book that you read teaches you something. I've literally talked about this in therapy recently, and I said to my therapist, you know what? One of the reasons why I still had this notion that there is hope for me getting help, growing up in a very isolated, very oddly raised child, atheist child in Poland, moved around a lot. I know loneliness on a very deep level, okay? So the one thing that gave me hope to keep going was the fiction that I read that gave me language to describe it, to recognize it, to accept it and follow the script that I recognized. And from a linguistic point of view, the Bible is very much like it's a great collection of metaphors that one can use to then navigate their daily life. It is truly great. It's truly great. And even though I am not Christian, I do, in my daily life, actually follow a lot of the rules that are described in the Bible. Guess what? Because they make sense. They make sense. Does that mean that I'm going to start preaching to everyone about accepting Jesus into your heart? No, but I'm going to hear him out. I'm going to learn from someone who's smart. Just like you read Sean Covey's book of 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's the same. It's the same. I don't think why... I genuinely have no idea why you people are expecting to turn that man into a poster child of born-again Christians. Oh, people are gonna so call me a demon in the comments. Wow. If this reaches the right people, I am so getting called a demon. Yes, I did practice witchcraft. Yes, I spent a lot of my life in churches. I was in a choir, singing during service, singing during mass. I was a soprano. And no, I don't go around traumatizing people and tempting them. I have morals and I have standards. And I do not need to tell people to pray. Anyway. I just saw some of the comments and I was kind of like, nah. This cannot be happening. Anyway, Leo Skepi reading the Bible and then inspiring people to do it is gonna bring about a revolution, but it's not gonna be one that most of you are gonna like. You have been warned.